Hi, I am Priyam. Along with my colleagues, we bring you a special report on a critical global issue climate action and the surprising role of accountants in achieving it. Stay with us as we uncover how the world of numbers is stepping up to fight the climate crisis.
Hello everyone, my name is Varun Gopala. Today I am here to give major project presentation. Firstly, coming to the executive summary, our research focus on Sustainable Development Goal 13 climate action and critically examines how accountants can help close the global accountability gap in tackling climate change. Despite broad interaction consensus, the global is off track in achieving SDG 13. Global emissions continue to rise. The 1,000 billion annual climate finance pledge remains insufficient, and global policy enforcement remains fragmented. Vulnerable nations are disproportionately affected, yet receive minimal support, highlights deep inequalities and structural flaws in global climate governance. In this content, accountants are emerging as key enablers of climate accountability through mechanisms such as sustainability management accounting, ESG reporting, climate related assurance, and public sector audits. They can also ensure transparent climate disclosures, strengthen policy oversights, and support effective climate financing. Drawing on global frameworks and national examples such as the Australian Sustainable Reporting Standards and the work of bodies like ANAO and AUASB, this study presents a roadmap of how accounting practices and regulations can drive climate action. Ultimately, we propose that with the right institutional reforms, accountants can transition from being financial stewards to guardians of sustainability. Next, coming to the introduction and background, the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, adopted in 2015, set a global agenda for inclusive inequalities and sustainable development by 2030. Among them, SDG 13 climate action calls for urgent measures to combat climate change and its devastating impacts. However, progress is alarmingly slow. As of 2013, only 70% of SDG targets are on track. Greenhouse gas emissions remain at record high, and climate disasters are growing more intense. At the same time, inequalities and deepening the richest 1% captured nearly two-thirds of all new global wealth since 2020, while the bottom 66 bear the brunt of climate impacts. Existing academic and policy literature often emphasizes national policies or technological solutions, but overlooks global accountability structure and the professional responsible for implementation, especially accountants. This study addresses that gap by exploring how accountants can support climate governance through reporting, assurance, and financing oversight. We argue that professional core functions, measurement, verification, and transparency can be repurposed to enhance SDG implementation by emphasizing climate performance into finance systems. Accountants help organizations, investors, and governments make credible climate aligned decisions. And there are four research questions. These are how do accountants use corporate sustainability report to advance SDG 13 globally? And second one is in what ways does independent assurance of climate reports enhance accountability and trust? And how accountants involved in integrated reporting to communicate like climate risks and targets? What are the main barriers to SDG implementation and how can accounting systems address them? And now our friend Priyam will continue.
Hi, this is Priyam, and I'll briefly walk you through the core of our research, the objectives, the literature review, and the methodology we use to explore how accountants can become active agents of climate action, particularly in advancing Sustainable Development Goal 30. Our research is guided by four key objectives. First, we aim to understand how professional accountants can integrate climate considerations into sustainability reporting globally. Second, we explore the impact of independent assurance on the credibility of climate related disclosures in a world increasingly wary of greenwashing, trust, and verification are crucial. Third, we look at integrated reporting, a growing framework where climate risks and financial information are disclosed together. Accountants play a major role in shaping these reports. And finally, we examine the global challenges that delay SDG 13 implementation, such as data inconsistency, regular fragmentation, and weak stakeholder trust, and how accounting mechanisms like audits and government's performance can help overcome them. After that, The literature highlight major gaps and opportunities are um, first, we will talk about Benny and Bircher 2024. Emphasize that sustainability management accounting is um, underrepresented in accounting education, despite its importance in integrating environmental goals into financial planning. After that, Scaliger and Brewer 2018 argued that accounts must prove beyond record keeping and step into strategic sustainability leadership. The third is the IFASE points out the while over 90% of large companies issue ESG reports, fewer than half of these are assured, leaving room of manipulation and greenwashing. After that, similarly, Khan 2020 and McCallum 2015 show that in emerging markets, symbolic disclosures dominate due to lack of regulation and assurance, weakening the transparency of climate reporting. And finally, the role of public sector accountants, especially in the global south, is critical at tracking climate finance and restoring accountability, as discussed in research by OECD and Global Witness. At the last, I will talk about our methodology we used. We adopted a quantitative secondary data approach. Our analysis draws on major reports such as the UN SDG report, WMO climate reports, and the UNEP emissions gap reports. These are combined with the peer-reviewed journal articles and frameworks from international bodies like IFAC, IFRS, and IAASP. We use thematic content analysis to identify key patterns and gaps in the accounting practices and climate governance. Australia was selected as a model of our case study. Thanks to its recent climate disclosure reforms, particularly the introduction of the Australian sustainability reporting standards and the role of the auditing and assurance standard boards. Thank you so much.
Hi, hope you well. I'm Shivai and I'm here to discuss findings, discussions, and conclusion. The accountant's verdict. Are we truly achieving climate action SDG 13? So our project dwelled into a critical question. Despite global commitments, why is tangible process on US Sustainable Development Goals 13? Climate action so limited, our initial research highlighted even this urgent goal faces significant obstacles, raising doubts about meeting crucial targets like limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Transition into visuals illustration, the challenges mentioned in the initial snippets: inequality, resource scarcity, impact climate efforts, political hurdles, and global crisis. The gap between aspiration and reality. Our findings corroborate the concerns raised by commentators. We see a persistent gap between the ambition aspirations of SDG 30 and the demonstrable progress on the ground. Factors contributing to this include a potential lack of genuine ambition in some commitments, shortfalls in the necessary climate finance, and weakness in governance structures designed to implement climate action effectively. Stagnant or slow reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, discrepancy between pledged climate finance and actual fund mobilized, illustrative examples of governance challenges hindering climate policy implementations. Furthermore, our analysis suggests a potential issue of SDG washing, where corporate and government reportings on climate action may lack the necessary transparency and robust oversight to ensure genuine impact. This make it difficult to distinguish between meaningful change and superficial claims. Sorry. So, show mock-ups of sustainability reports, one with the vague statements, another with specific data-driven disclosures, briefly highlight the importance of credible reporting. Further moving to the discussions, the indispensable role of accountants, connecting to the accountant's role. However, our project strongly emphasizes the crucial and often underestimated role of accountants in bridging the gap. Accountants, with their expertise in financial integrity and reporting, are vital for ensuring the credibility and effectiveness of climate action. Carbon accounting, sustainability reporting, climate finance oversight, green budgeting auditing. Strong carbon accounting provides the fundamental data for informed decision making. Accountants play a crucial role in assuring sustainability reports, lending credibility to corporate claims, and holding them accountable. Moreover, their financial oversight. Their financial oversight ensures that climate finances is directed appropriately and yields tangible results. In the public sector, accountants are essential for transparent green budgeting and robust auditing of climate initiatives. So, moving forward to the conclusion of the report towards greater accountability and action. In conclusion, our report underscores that while the ambition of SDG 13 is critical, its realization hinges on robust implementation and crucially verifiable accountability. The skills and the ethical principles of accountants position them as indispensable actors in achieving better climate governance. While our analysis relies on existing data, it provides a strong foundation for recognizing the vital role accountants must play in translating climate commitments into meaningful action. By embracing their expertise, we can move beyond aspiration towards a future where SDG 13 is not just a goal but a reality. Thank you so much.
That concludes our report. As climate challenges intensify, it is clear that accountants aren't just balancing books, they are helping balance the planet. Thank you for watching.